Well, welcome everyone to this very special Zoom session on senior women living together with Pat Dunn. Pat is one of those extraordinary people who transformed her personal circumstances and in the process also transformed the lives of other people. After saving for years, Pat and her husband finally embarked on their boat for a dream voyage to the Caribbean. But tragedy struck when her husband died of a massive heart attack while they were in Mexico. He was 66 and Pat 64. Pat sold her and her husband's boat and returned to Canada, but after 3 years away, she'd lost touch with friends and her children lived far apart. Her financial situation went south, and by 2018, Pat was homeless, living in her car with affordable housing wait lists at least 3 years long. In 2019, she formed a Facebook group for women who might want to live communally to save money. Within a month, 200 women had joined the Facebook group. The need was obvious, and from there, Pat formed Senior Women Living Together, and the rest is history. So we're so pleased to have Pat join us today to talk about this important home sharing program that is addressing such a critical need for older women, but that also provides a model of home sharing for anyone else who's looking for cost savings and companionship. So over to you, Pat.
Well, thank you. My goodness, I forget about a lot of the things that you mentioned, but I will make one correction. I never actually lived in my car. I was at the point of considering it, and that was the
Okay, well,
lowest
that's
point.
good. I'm glad actually to hear that.
We do have members living in their cars, though, but so it happens. I was lucky to have the brainwave, I guess, to say, well, this just is not good enough, and I'm going to find some other women to live with, and so that started it out. So yeah, so I'm going to tell you a bit about it. I have a number of slides here to let you know, and I want to take questions afterwards. So jot them down in the chat or just jot them down in your notes. Um, there's usually lots of questions. Okay, so I just do this and I get to this. So who we are and what we do. So we're nonprofit. We started with the Facebook group in February of 2019, and then we incorporated in August of 2019. So what we do is we help senior women find compatible homemates through our website that has all the tools to help them do that. And then together they do this themselves. We provide the space, the place, the platform, and the tools, but they find their own homemates. And they create successful shared living arrangements, and I'll tell you how that goes. But it's all in rental housing. We don't arrange any other kind of housing. So we also help partner with landlords and real estate investors, and sometimes builders. So, so who joins us? So ranging in age from 55 to 80 plus, with the majority 65 to 75 years old. 90% are currently renters. We have homeowners as well, so senior women who are living alone in large homes and need some help and are lonely, they join us and they find uh, women to come and live with them. And it's actually the fastest way for our process works is with the homeowners because the house is already there. And then about 5%, as I mentioned earlier, might be living in their cars, couch surfing, um, going from family to friends, and they don't show up in the homeless statistics. So why? Well, it's kind of known. Most of this is known, of course. So it's too expensive. I mean, renting is just too expensive for most incomes, retirement incomes. The rents have gone up, tripled since 2019. They're leveling off now, but it's still too much for most most seniors. So, and of course, other residences and other options are also too much. I looked at um, a lot, all the options that were available for shared living at the time. I was starting to look in 2019, and all of them were too expensive. And of course, seniors' residences are $5,000 or $6,000 a month or more. So the other issue is the wait lists. I just heard that in Toronto they're 15 years long now for the rent geared to income housing for seniors, 15 years. And maintenance for seniors, women living alone in their houses gets expensive, and just the physical work of maintaining a home. And so they come to us looking for senior women to live with. So we have one of the main, I guess you would say, uh, uh, things that we hear over and over again when people find us, when women find our Facebook group or our website, is um, how much they relate to the way we've set it up so that they still maintain their independent decision making and autonomy and dignity. And that was intentional on the board of directors was intentional to help maintain everyone's ability to choose. So when they join us, they get to choose first to join us, they get to choose who they're going to live with, where they're going to live, what kind of housing. We don't match anybody. They find their own matches. We provide lots of support and information, and you could say training, to help them know what questions to ask to find the right people for them to live with. So we know there's thousands of single senior women living in unaffordable housing in Ontario. I didn't put a number up here because every time I go to Stats Canada, I find a new number. The most recent one was 150,000 single senior women in Ontario are living in unaffordable housing. So this is our process in a glance. They come, they create a profile. It's some people have said it's like a dating website, but the questions are different. And they create their profiles, so they tell everybody a little bit about themselves, answering specific questions. Then everybody starts reading each other's profiles, looking for compatibility, and then contacting each. It's all done on the website. They can contact each other through the website, so no one has to give out their own personal information. And start chatting and get to know each other, start to meet up. We always recommend that everybody meets up at least 5 separate times before making a decision to live together. And so long as they're asking the right questions, that's sufficient usually for success. And then they co-create a comprehensive homemade agreement. So this is something we've developed over time that helps the group who starts to live together decide on everything to do with living together. So the typical things, cleaning, cooking, laundry, grocery shopping, paying the bills. But we also added in aging together, because there's special things that we need to share with each other about. I want to make sure that if something happens to me suddenly, the people I need to know about that are informed. So I give my homemates that kind of information. Also, decisions like do not resuscitate, living will type of things need to be shared. And the biggest piece in there, actually, I find is how much caregiving are we willing to give each other? Because today, the healthcare system is not providing enough care at home, and particularly when you're a lower income person, you can be discriminated against. And so there's this agreement. This is time for the group to sit down and say and talk to each other honestly before it happens that someone needs care, about what they're willing to give towards the care of their homemates. So somebody might have come from just spending 10 years or more, even sometimes, caregiving to parents, to a sister, to a brother, to a husband, and they don't want to do it anymore. And that's okay, and for sure, but it's all talked about before someone actually needs it. So it's done. Um, People are more likely to be honest about that. And then they're working on the comprehensive homemade agreement. They're looking for a place, a suitable rental accommodation, and suitable is depends on each group. So they uh, uh, they look for whatever kind of housing they are interested in, and we help support them and help them find that. I have the pictures of everybody down the right side of my screen, so I'm not missing anything, am I? If I go to the next page, am I missing anything from this page? No? Okay, good. All right. So far we've had 69 women. So women have found compatible homemates in groups of two, most of them, 66% of groups of two, 16% living in groups of three, and 14% in groups of four. That's um, we have a question on our uh, what do you call it? On the initial profile that they answer the questions about themselves, about how many people do you want to live with? How many women do you want to live with? I was always of the opinion the more the merrier. And, if somebody were to offer SWLT a 10-bedroom house that was suitable, I'd be the first one in. But lots of people, most of our members prefer just one other. Okay, so what are the benefits? Well, pretty much doesn't need to be said, but I'll just go through this. Obviously, financial security. So a lot of our members, most when they first come to us, are paying at least 50% of their income on housing, and many are paying 70 and 80% of their income. Once they start living together, it drops down to 30 or 40%. I was able to um, start saving right away, and now I have a very healthy savings account. So I'm feeling very secure about being able to afford to buy some health care if as I'm aging. The housing security, of course, is the other thing. Um, the Once they sign the leases with landlords, and they have a good long lease or the promise of that, once they have each other to support paying the rent, um, their worries about homelessness pretty much disappear. And of course, avoiding loneliness and isolation. Um, I know for sure, one of the biggest reasons why I chose to do this was I felt as though the loneliness I was experiencing was going to kill me. Then I found out that the research says it will kill me. So it's a big factor. We have women now, since COVID, we have women joining us who do have enough income to get a one-bedroom apartment or on their own. They are able financially to live alone, but they're coming now. COVID taught them that being alone was not the way to go forward in their lives as they aged. And they started to acknowledge that loneliness was becoming a problem. And then there's avoiding all the health risks that come with loneliness and aging. So, living together with other people has been found uh, to help people avoid or be at less risk for memory decline, cognitive loss, depression, and the negative effects of loneliness on heart disease, diabetes, and arthritis. So the most timely thing that's happening, of course, is Bill 7 in 2022, where the government, in all its wisdom, decided to do something about people staying in hospital too long, and seniors uh, are often those ones that they consider staying too long. So Bill 7 allows them hospitals themselves to decide who needs to go, when they need to go, and where they need to go. And it's nursing homes for seniors, and it could be for just recovering from a knee replacement surgery, because they don't want to send us home if we live alone, nobody there to help us. They feel there's some legal problems with not providing the proper care for us. So um, they decided they just start sending people to long-term care homes. And then there's this, if you refuse to pay any extra charges, it's $400 a day they're going to charge if you refuse to go. So, low income people definitely can't afford that. And even moderate income people would struggle to do that. So the sad part is that many have been sent to long-term care homes very far from any of their family or friends. And also sometimes to long-term care homes that they that are just simply not safe, um, and the patient care isn't there properly there. So this is when this showed up in 22. Oh my goodness, we spent hours and hours talking about it on on our Facebook group, because it was it's so terrified everybody. So anyway, I know there's groups that are fighting this and working hard. I'm sure uh, Trish could tell you lots more about that too. So, but it was certainly a low blow to seniors in Ontario. So what's next for us? Well, we currently are partnering with nonprofit housing providers when they have two or more bedroom units that they are having trouble filling. We connect with them, and can often find two women, two or three or whatever, to go into their apartment buildings. And I say advocate here for solutions to the housing crisis. So that's a skill, an enormously important skill, and knowledge base that you need to do that well. So the board quickly decided that we personally were not going to advocate, except join together with other advocates like SSOA, AO, SSAO. And so that's how I came to get to know Trish. So we're currently also expanding across the country, starting in BC. We had a lot of BC women contacting us when they heard about us, and so we're starting there. But ultimately, we'd like to go across the country. And we're also we're also talking with builders, and when possible, trying to find ways to partner with them as well. Our big push now for the spring is to evaluate our current programs. We need to have some more data to make decisions by. And so instead of just thinking this or wondering this, we need the actual data, evaluation data, so we can keep on top and make good decisions. And this is how you can contact us. So this will be available in the recording, so you can grab something off this page now if you want. But we I don't like talking about money. I don't like asking for money, but I'm learning that's it's an appropriate request, so I will ask you to donate. It's on our website. You just go to swilt.ca/donate, we have no funds or income other than donations or grants when we are able to get a grant. And that is, no, this is what I want. Yeah, end show. Okay, and I'll stop sharing. Okay, so questions.
Yes, and I've got a list already, and so everybody else, if you want to ask a question, if you go to, I think it's the React with a little heart at the bottom of your screen, there's a raise hand icon that you can click on, so you can just raise your hand, and I'll try and get to everybody as you raise your hands. So KH asked a question about whether or not you're national, Pat. So can you answer that first, maybe?
Now that currently we're just, I have only been serving Ontario since we started in 2019, but currently we're starting to invite women in BC to join us as well.
Okay.
And the plan is to eventually be across the country.
Yeah. Just a quick question around donations. Do people get a tax receipt if they donate?
No, we're not a charity,
Yeah.
so we can't give tax receipts. And
Yeah.
to become a charity, we need about $15,000 to get someone to help us become a charity.
Yeah. We know that
So,
one. That's why we didn't do it either.
yeah.
Okay. David, you had about three questions. Do you want to go ahead and ask those, David McCauley?
Okay. Yeah, the first question was any seniors men or co-ed living together situations.
I don't know of anyone. I get asked that a lot. I've never been approached by anyone. I've been approached by individual men asking me if there is anything, and I've offered to give them advice on how to start something if they want to.
Great. The other one, are there larger communities than five people? Because and the reason a related question to that is I've run into zoning bylaws in municipalities that don't allow any more than five unrelated people living together. I don't know where that number came from because there used to be families a lot bigger than five people. But it seems to be a restrictive thing, especially to co-housing. And I wonder with senior women whether that's been an issue and you've been able to find a way
Well,
around it.
yeah, we've been lucky. The big case that came up was the Golden Girls of Port Perry. You may remember in 2019, they had purchased and bought or built a house to their specifications. And when it was sort of ready to move in, the local council said, "Oh, you can't live together. You're not related." So so it was insane. They got help immediately from politicians to put a bill together to make it okay. So it did happen, and they won. And but that was still the bill that was designed. It was still just about purchasing together. It still didn't say anything about renting. So we looked at that and thought, well, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing until someone tries to stop us, and then we'll see. And it's never come up for us. So,
Thanks for the work you're doing, Pat. And the follow-up question or comment I guess I have to that just for everybody is this is an election year, and I'm actively involved in our community to change the bylaws, talking to the planners and that type of thing to allow more. And I'm not saying that I want huge institutions by any means, but five is a nice number. Sometimes with the quantity of people, the costs go down. So there might be an ideal number. I don't know if you have a number in mind that would be good for that. But if you could have more in the zoning, it would relieve a lot of issues with bylaw officers coming around.
Yeah,
yeah, well,
and it's interesting. We kind of beat that in our youth, didn't we, Pat? When some of us lived in communes, we just didn't we just didn't tell them.
that's right. Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
made a bad name for us.
Anyway, well, thank you. I'm sorry, I can't sort of figure out who's saying what, but
It's
thank you for, promoting shared living in your, under your capacity to do
Yeah.
that. That's great. Great.
That's
Great
David. That's
news.
one of our volunteers. We grabbed him quickly when we met him. So, okay, I've got a list here, so I'm going to tell everybody who the list is. Jennifer Ferguson, I'm going to come to you next around your caregiving comment. And then Judy had some questions around non-payment. Adam Richards, Sally Moore, Jennifer Ferguson, Ray Applebaum, Marion, and then Mark. So we're going to go through the list, everybody. So Jennifer, go ahead.
Mrs. Dunn, I first want to say how inspiring your talk has been. You are someone who turned tragedy into triumph, and I'm so sorry for your untimely loss, but so grateful you exist and are doing what you're doing.
Thank
A-
you.
And then my second very brief comment is in terms of caregivers. Um, Please be all of you be very cautious before I identifying someone in the shared living arrangement to be a caregiver because not everybody is suited to being a caregiver. You're typically strangers when you come together over under that kind of arrangement. You don't know if people have had criminal records or, God forbid, had issues. And I am caregiving for my elderly parent who is still capable of doing activities of daily living independently. But I've set a limit. Once they become incontinent, they have to have paid care. I cannot deal with that, and my family has had meetings about that and is clear on that. So it's okay to set reasonable limits, especially with someone you don't know well. And then my last comment is you mentioned that some women and some men feel they have enough income. My cautionary tale on that is in my 23 years as a political aide to a provincial representative in Quebec, I have heard countless stories of people who thought they had the money squared away. The other person paid the bills, and they learned the hard way, as you did, Mrs. Dunn, that um, when someone dies unexpectedly, there are a lot of surprises. Taking care of the home independently is one of them. The other can be financial. So, just a couple of cautionary tales, but I think this is a fantastic model, and I hope one day it comes to Quebec because I'm seeing the equivalent of Bill 7 coming down the pipeline in Quebec and some of the decisions that are made. So, sorry about the rambling, but thank you for everything.
Well,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Jennifer. Those were useful comments, and we're
Yes.
always happy to have Quebec join us.
Thank you.
Um, Judy, you were asking about interventions of issues, if there are issues of non-payment. Do you want to put that question to Pat?
Yeah, it's just a sort of a bundle of questions, and maybe if I delved into this in more detail, you are already providing the answers. But I'm just wondering, if everything looks great and you've had your 5 meetings and you build up a level of trust with someone, if for some unforeseen reason that person can't, or people, depending on the arrangement, can't pull their weight, does your organization come to bear in that at all?
Yeah. Well, generally, the so far, I'll put it this way. So far, that hasn't been a problem. There's personality problems and stuff like that, communication style problems in homemade groups, but the agreement that they set out, how much they're going to each pay, when they do that in their homemade agreement, everybody so far has lived up to the financial. That doesn't mean to say it wouldn't happen tomorrow. So it's certainly something we've talked about, but we don't oversee any of that in the way we're not an agency model. So and so we're just like I say, we have the platform. You come, you find your own home, it's your own place to live, and we provide advice. So if that happened, I would get a phone call, probably from one of the people in that, saying, "Pat, this is happening. You know, Jane, she didn't pay her rent, and now we're all worried." They generally take joint and several leases. So they generally joint and several leases when unrelated people um, living together uh, jointly pay the rent. They're jointly responsible for the rent, but they're also individually responsible. So this is something there, most of them are doing that. Um, and there's pros and cons to it, but we inform them about those things, and um, so they would have the others have to pay. If someone doesn't pay, they have to pay. And so that level of trust is pretty high for, you know, or the need for the level of trust is pretty high in these relationships for sure. Shared living. Anyway, so yeah, somebody would call me and say, you know, Sally didn't pay her rent. What do we do? And then I'd start working with them on uh, uh, asking her to leave if it's going to be a consistent problem, first of all, and second of all, talking with the landlord about giving some space and time for them to find a replacement, and then we would help them find the replacement.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I guess the corollary to that is, in the initial stages, what you just explained, that would be part of the education. You would educate everyone to have this type of lease and what the implications of that type of lease are.
Yes, yes, we taught, well, yeah, we let them know about doing it by individual leases too. So we give them, you know, all the information on all the possible ways they can do this. And in this case, it's usually joint and several or individual leases. And there's pros and cons to both, and we make sure they know um, about both, about everything.
Thank you.
That's great. Adam Richards, you had a question about what's resonated with the media and politicians. Go ahead. Not hearing Adam. So I'll ask it for him. He wondered whether there was a particular message about home sharing that has resonated with politicians and policymakers, and maybe with the media as well.
Well, I sometimes feel unfortunate that it's my story initially that seems to get everybody excited, including politicians. Most politicians have elderly people in their lives, their own parents, or they watch their own parents go through tough times. So it resonates with everybody really, and younger people too. Um, we got a lot of media attention. Um, and it's continued somewhat, a little bit less, but it's staying, you know, pretty good. The what was part of your question now? See, I'm forgetting. Can tell I'm
Just
old.
wanted to know about whether anything in particular was resonating with policymakers or
Yeah, so yeah, when I'm talking to policymakers, when I do a presentation like this, and I'll be doing one with a mayor next week, so and a council. So then I focus a part of my presentation on the advantages to a municipality if they support what we're doing. So when a senior woman finds this very secure way of living, they're generally remove themselves from the wait lists. So the more of us that do this, the more people off the wait list, the shorter the wait list is. The other thing is currently we're using existing housing. So nobody has to build anything, and we can to house us, and we can get it generally between 3, 4 to 6 months. We can get people into an existing place. So and at the same time we do that, say 4 women move in together, at the same time we get that done, the housing those 4 women had previously is back on the market, is back available. So usually they're studios or one bedrooms. So, and right now there's a shortage of everything. So,
That's right. That's
so
right.
usually the municipal people I talk to are going, "Oh yeah, I guess that's true. That would happen." So, it's so my hope is they'll give us a little bit of money so we can keep doing what we're doing.
That would
Instead,
make sense. That
that
would
would
make
be,
sense.
yeah.
Okay, Sally Moore, you had a question around, I think, gay or lesbian residents?
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether or not how welcoming people are in general to alternative lifestyles.
Good, really good point. It was something we talked about a lot in the beginning. We wanted to be as inclusive as possible, and it was a while before we had any people come and ask about joining us and ask that very question, actually. And so it's in our mission statement now. It's in our incorporation documents that we serve senior women and those who identify as female. And that we make a point of saying that as frequently as possible. So now we have actually um, uh, quite a number. I'm not counting because I don't go and look, and just to see how many are how many lesbian women we have, lesbian women we have. But I presented to a group last month of already formed group of senior women, female lesbians. We haven't. We had one in the very beginning who was transgender and fascinating. we all we all enjoy spending time with her. And so, yes, and it doesn't seem to be a problem when in the shared when they start talking with each other with like a heterosexual woman and the lesbian woman. It doesn't seem to be a big deal. The big question is uh, uh, what kind of visitors are you going to have? And how many, are you going to have overnight visitors? But they don't want men either. So most most of the groups don't want male or female. They don't want overnight visitors. Maybe grandchildren, or children come to visit. But yeah, so yeah, it hasn't been a problem, I have to say. And usually I hear if there's a problem.
Yeah,
So
that's an interesting point about grandkids because, yeah, because I would imagine some would want to have their grandkids come over.
yeah.
Ray, you had a question. You've had your hand up?
Sorry about that. I was trying to find the right spot. Pat, it's absolutely a pleasure to have the ability to listen to you today. I've spent most of my life, over 50 years, in this whole area of senior services and care. And I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, you're hitting all of the principles and values that I believe in and have believed in running an organization. I just came off a 26-year stint with a local agency, and we provide assisted living for high-risk seniors. So we took a route that was just a different one than yours, and yours is absolutely fabulous and really represents by far the larger audience, in that we established back in the early 1990s a relationship with the Region Appeal and affordable housing. And we were really intent on focusing on low income seniors. The majority of the population that we served are female. And so I can relate to a lot of things you're talking about, Pat. But I think the differentiation for me and your organization, learning a bit more about it today, is that it really does represent by far a much larger population. I mean, we're only serving, 300 to 400 people versus what you're going to serve over time in your organization. I'd love to see your data when you have the opportunity to get that put together, because what you're going to do is identify and share some really valuable information about the trending that's going on from 19 forward. you've got COVID in there. That must have had an impact one way or the other in people coming to you. So I'd be interested to see the data in the long run. I think it's really important. And you also are touching on other areas, not just social isolation that people experience, but also their ability to be safe and live in a safe environment, feel confident that, they can stay where they are. Their companion is somebody that they can spend time with safely. So you've really hit a lot of the high points. And I think as we go forward, I could see more and more people choosing the option that you're offering. I think it's just brilliant. So thanks so much for bringing that to us today. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Trish.
Thank you for your thoughtful suggestions. And yes, I hope to be able to get this evaluation done and get this information out, and I'll be happy to share it anywhere.
That's great, and we'll distribute it too. Marion Gord, you have your hand up.
Thank you so much. And so just full disclosure, I'm a real estate broker but I work primarily with older adults later in life moves. So your area, so what you're doing is of great interest to me and hence why I'm on the call. A couple of things come to mind. So I've got a whole list of stuff here. I just wanted to share. So I'm in Burlington. I'm based in Burlington in Halton. So out here, I'm not sure whether you're aware, but there are a couple of programs. One is called through the region, Halton Home Share, and then Home Share Alliance. So doing similar things. However, the benefit of what you're doing is that you have the resource on the Facebook page where people can get together and find themselves. Where I think through Home Share, the Halton Home Share, the program in a box kind of thing, people are given the tools, but then you're out there on your own trying to find a partner. Home Share Alliance, it's a fee for service, so they will place you an individual. So again, what you're doing tackles a different aspect of it, and I see a huge value in that. A couple of places I don't know whether you've reached out to, but a couple of organizations that come to mind is Widowed Friends. I don't know whether you've contacted them. It might be a good opportunity to create awareness with them. And also, just so you know, the Community Development Halton is big into housing right now. They're doing a lot of work into affordable housing, getting people off the street. So it would be timely to connect with them.
Yeah, Paul Sharman actually has worked with us over the years.
Yeah, okay. So I
So
think that's a
I'll
different thing altogether.
yeah, I can put her in touch with Paul. He's the head of the Halton Community Housing, Pat.
Yeah, and
Okay.
also Risha Burke. So she's the ED for Community Development Halton. So that's the one I think where that's being spearheaded now.
Risha?
Risha Burke. Risha Burke.
Oh, I've already talked to her. I didn't put it together. The name is just unusual, so that's what stuck with me.
Mhm.
And I think it's recent, and I'm talking to some people in Halton. It's booked already for March.
Yeah,
So I may
good.
have, yeah.
Good. Yeah, they're like I've been to a couple of sessions that they've been having, and so again, it's timely.
Yep.
I have a question in that where are the people that are going through your channels, where are they finding the housing? Is it primarily, I'm going to call them rental buildings or through private landlords?
Our organization will work with private landlords only. No, we don't work with the conglomerates and
Yeah, like a rental
let's call
building, like a
the
rental
REITs.
apartment.
Yeah, just
Yeah, so I guess
uh,
so then the question there becomes how do they secure a long-term lease? Because there's never the RTA will not protect them should the landlord change their mind.
well, usually when I talk with the landlords, I'm asking them, what are your plans for this place? Like it's a 4-bedroom house in the suburbs, let's say.
Hmm.
And and I try to get a sense of how long they plan to have it available. And I tell them that because I tell them these women can't move again in 2 years. It's that's unhealthy, if nothing else. So they need to know that this is secure and obviously things change and for
Hmm.
everybody
Hmm.
change, but they need some security from you. One landlord actually gave a group of four a 5-year lease.
Okay.
And the others, maybe not so long, but even 3 years, or just I need to have a sense that they're in it for long haul, intentionally in it for them.
Yeah.
So, and the second thing is rent control guideline
Yes.
increases,
Yeah.
and those are the two things we help the women negotiate with the landlord.
Mhm. Okay, so
Oh,
uh,
okay, there's more hands up,
Okay.
so I'm gonna move it along. Sorry, Marion.
no, that's okay.
We can come back later if you have more. Um, so Mark DeGabriel, you had a question in the chat around rent evictions and if someone develops infirmity. Did you want to speak to that?
I'm just wondering, there's been a large spate of this whole rent eviction where somebody will get kicked out of a low cost rental or something like that to have it redeveloped into condos or whatever. I'm just wondering, I think it flows from the answer you just gave, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, oh my goodness, I heard story about, I know
Mhm.
one senior woman that was rent evicted 3 times in 2 years. Um, she had to use all of her savings that had been hard for her to get put together just to manage through all of that. So we hear the stories, but it doesn't happen to our members.
Okay, that's good. The other question I had was, right now, my father-in-law, who's going to be turning 97 right now, is living on his own in his house. And he's been doing fairly well up until very recently. He's in the hospital right now. I'm just wondering what happens if one of the residents, if you have a 2, 3, 4, or whatever, in a residence, what if one of them becomes ill and can't contribute the way they used to, or develops dementia, some other mental health issue, issue, whatever?
Yeah, that's part of the aging together section of our homemade agreement, is
Right.
having those kinds of discussions. What will we do if somebody starts showing signs of dementia? How will we manage that? We don't instruct them on that. They choose with lots of information from us how they want to do it in their particular homemade group. Uh, but I've been 6 years now with my homemates, and things have changed considerably for all three of us in those 6 years. And so now we're talking more often about what we're going to do if one of us has to go into long-term care and how we're going to manage that. The organization, Swilt, would step in to help for sure, to help find a replacement for someone who has to go into long-term care, or help the remaining group find another place to live that's more suitable. Right now, I've got stairs I would like to get rid of. I hate them. So, we will likely move, maybe within the next year, just to get away from the stairs. But yeah, those are big conversations, important
Okay.
conversations.
Just as part of that, if more than one potentially of the residents develops a problem, and these conditions can, deteriorate in the rental, do you have any kind of ongoing relationship with the renter in terms of making sure that standards are met? That's one of the problems we've had with my father-in-law, is that the cleanliness of his house. We seriously think that that's what contributed to his illness right now and why he's in hospital. He got pneumonia. His home right now is unfortunately very dirty and has a lot of mold and such in it. So we're in the process of cleaning it up ourselves. But how do you maintain that the conditions are sufficient?
The women do it themselves. That's what you're describing is typical for people living alone.
Right.
And it doesn't happen when you're living with others because,
Yeah.
some people won't tolerate it. And as you age, you're spending money on less on things you used to spend money on. So suddenly you have money with the rest of the group to get a cleaning lady in once a week.
Exactly. Yeah, and not only that, sometimes you don't have to. Because if you get SSAO involved, we will make sure that Ontario Health at Home provides homemaking services.
Right. Yeah, we're finding out about that. I'm in Waterloo. We're
Yeah.
finding out about that right now, actually.
Yeah,
So
I mean, community agencies often will have some homemaking services available too, and
right.
people to fix things and
Yeah.
snow shoveling and lawn care,
Yeah. Yeah.
And really, we've paid for it all of our lives, so I think it's quite fine to ask for that kind of thing.
Okay.
So,
Well, thank you, and thank you for the work you're doing. I think it's very necessary, and it fills a really great need. So thank you.
it does. It does.
Thanks for
Gila,
coming.
Gila, you've had your hand up. I'm coming to you.
Okay, yeah. Hi, Pat, you are doing phenomenal stuff. It's excellent. And Trish, you always have. I'm 85. I live alone. I'm a widow, and I have 17 stairs to go upstairs and 10 stairs to go down. And
Ouch.
so this week, I skipped a stair and crashed into the bottom thing.
Oh,
I'm fine, but I'm just, it happens. And yesterday, coming home with groceries, it caught my foot going up the stairs from outside, you know,
Yeah.
and fell. And I'm saying to myself, stop it. And I live alone. And so I have the home and I have this space. Pat, what do I
Yeah.
do?
You okay? You join us. We have homeowners, lots of them, and more all the time in the exact same situation you're in. I mean, you start to realize it's just simply not safe to live alone.
right.
And so,
And
yeah,
I want to get a chair lift. And if I have somebody living with me, maybe they also need a chair lift because
yeah,
the bedrooms
exactly.
are upstairs and so is my studio. So, like, you know,
Right.
Great, great. Yeah, so yeah, just you can send me an email if you want, and I'll help you get started on the website.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to
And
have you.
everybody's going to get the slides afterwards, Pat, so they'll be able to get everything right off the slides.
Yeah.
We'll send those out.
thank you for all
Okay.
you do, Pat.
Okay, Samita, I hope I haven't mispronounced your name. You've had your hand up.
Oh, yeah, no, you got my name very, very accurate.
Good.
Oh, this is fantastic. I have so many questions. I don't know where to start. But before that, I will very quickly I explain why I'm here. So I am in built environment accessibility. That's what I do for living. My company called Nevable Consulting. That's why I'm interested on this one because basically, not basically, the statistics is saying that aging population in Canada is like almost like 19%, 7.6 million or roughly 8 million. I am part of that, and my wife also part of that. So when I started this meeting, I said, "Oh, this is fantastic." The very first thing I did was I sent a WhatsApp message to my wife, who is living in upstairs. I'm in the basement because I know one day she will need it. Today, you have me as the caretaker. My wife is a multiple sclerosis patient. A stair lift, I have that 2 stair lifts in my house, and she fallen down 2 times. Anyway, so come back to the point to my question is this. When we talk about going in and stay in someone else's house and you're renting, and I understand all these things are very important for the community, but my question sounds like a little bit negative, but I would like to clarify that. What about the Residential Tenancy Act? Is that
Mhm.
still applicable here? That
Yeah,
whoever owned the house and renting the house for other people, I know this is a different arrangement, but the legal side, is that the same thing? Is
yeah,
that the landlord and tenant bureau taking the same kind of role for those things? Well, things might happen, you don't
yeah,
know,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, you're quite right. It's a
Yeah.
really good question, and it refers to the woman I just spoke to. Come and join us, because she's a homeowner. The Residential Tenancies Act does not cover someone living with a homeowner and sharing a bathroom or a kitchen. So that is, again, full disclosure to our members, this is what you're getting into if you live with a homeowner. This is the reality. However, we have with our homeowners an agreement that they make with us that they aren't going to do something stupid like kick somebody out in the middle of the winter, or, they're going to give 60 days notice, the things that mirror the Residential Tenancies Act. And then again, the spending time together, getting to know each other before you actually move in. We haven't had a problem.
Okay.
Okay. That's
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you. That's a good question. Trish Rostone, Trish is here from Manitoba. We always love Manitobans to join us. Did you want to say anything about a police check? I'm not hearing her, so maybe she has left. Then in that case, Adam Richards, who has no mic, I'm going to read your question out, Adam. Have you found any messaging around aging in place or shared housing that unintentionally creates resistance, either from seniors themselves, families, or policymakers?
That's a real, I need a half an hour to figure that out. No, I'm kidding. No, it's an excellent question, but yeah, it takes some thought. When we started up, we didn't really think like aging in place wasn't talked about that much, and we weren't really think about the consequences of aging in place. And I know the first time I talked with Trish, I said, "Well, we have to find the place first, then we can age in it." So so that's how we started. It started to happen for us where we saw, and all of the things that we've added into our homemade group, our homemade agreements, in the aging together section of that agreement has to do with aging in place issues. Have I run into negative, or that was the part of the question I didn't quite get? Some
Okay, he basically said, have you found any messaging around aging in place or shared housing that unintentionally creates resistance, either from seniors, families, or policymakers? If you run into anything that you've said that has caused a negative reaction, I don't think you have, but
no,
yeah,
I
no,
haven't. No.
no, I didn't think so. Pat's a wonderful communicator, so I didn't think that would be a problem. David, you wanted to say something about the Thinking Beyond the Market documentary, and then I'll come back to Marion. David McCauley, sorry, David's, sorry, got him by surprise. There we go.
Yeah, I just wanted to put it in the chat. I saw that documentary a couple of weeks ago. Highly recommend it. It talks about lots of forms of alternative housing, especially community housing. And I highly recommend it. It was shown at the School of Landscape Architecture at the University of Guelph. And if you look it up, you can Google it and find it. And certainly I
What's
would
it called?
recommend it.
What's
It's
it called?
Called Beyond the Market.
Thinking Beyond the
Thinking Beyond
Market
the Market.
by Dr. Brian Doucette. It's University of Waterloo. It's in the chat, Pat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, highly recommend it. And it talks about that type of thing. I don't think it brings up your organization, but it certainly supports what you do very much. I highly recommend
Well,
it.
we'll have to set Dr. Brian Doucette at the University of Waterloo straight then, Pat.
We'll get him on
That's right,
another presentation.
We've been doing that a lot with academics lately, by the way. Okay, Marion Gord, you had another question?
Yeah, that's me. Actually, just because I've got you now, I'm actually hosting an event in April. And do you ever do kind of road shows or participate in seniors fairs or things like that?
Yes, we try to do that as much as possible. We're a small number of volunteers, really. The board's all volunteers, and then we have a few more that help us with things. So, we're a partner with Older Adult Centers of Ontario, Senior Center. So I didn't get that quite right, but you know the group. And so we hear about all the seniors fairs, and we get invited. So we've now got 4 kits put together to around the province so that we can try to get to as many as we can. But I do presentations and all of us do in-person presentations, and when it's close enough to our homes, and Zoom presentations similar to this one all the time with seniors. Yeah.
Okay, I'll reach out to you to see if you can, if you want to participate in the one I've got coming up then. Thank
Okay,
you.
great.
That's great, Marion. Okay, Bill Leeming, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I'm to the point of aging in place. I mean, this has become a very big topic now. And I can speak to this from the position of in Seton Village, and this started out with the Seton Village Residents Association. We started a group called Seton Village Green Neighbors. Most of the people that we work with and who participate in this are seniors, but there's a cautionary note here. I mean, when we talk about seniors, there's seniors who are quite independent. I often refer to them as fiercely independent. They're going to stay in their homes. Yeah, and it's keeping out of the long-term healthcare institutions and so forth, which Pat's talked about quite extensively. One of the big concerns that we have is maintaining our houses. In Seton Village, our houses are 100 years or more old, and they do need renovations, but we want them to be sustainable. We want the homes to be climate resilient. And so we are getting all sorts of help and advice from Toronto Home Energy Network. We're a member of their network. But that's one level. There's the question of assisted living or having assisted living come to your home. And so another group we have just started is well, we've got a very clumsy name for it, but it's Seton Village NORC Planning Committee.
Good.
Now, a NORC, of course, is well, not of course, but it's naturally occurring retirement community.
Right.
Yeah.
And the first meeting we had last week, it was astounding the number of people that showed up, and not just from Seton Village. We're talking Harvard Village, we're talking up in the woods. We've got all sorts of people that are coming in who are looking for this. Now, there is a NORC Innovation Center that's connected with the UHN. In the past, they've just concentrated on large buildings, so vertical NORCs, so
Yes.
a large apartment building.
That's changing, Bill, by the way.
Oh, I know
We've
it's
convinced them.
changing. I've been working with them for a couple of years now, trying to make this point.
Well, good, because we've been doing the same thing.
Well, Jessica Bell, who's our local
Yes.
MPP, she had a seniors town hall. Now there was 300 plus people that
There you
showed up to
go.
this. Some people are saying there was 400 plus. I don't know about that. But this discussion of horizontal NORCs took everybody by surprise.
Good.
We had people from our local city council. We had a representative come and attend. She was astonished how many people came to this meeting. I mean, there are these movements. We need to bring these in, and I certainly appreciate, Trish, that you're having this talk today with Pat, because when I saw co-housing, one of the things that I'm trying to think through and bring into the design of whatever we arrive at in terms of horizontal NORCs is this idea of various housing arrangements. So there's co-ops, but that's a whole different thing than what Pat's doing here.
Yeah.
And I think this is tremendously important.
Yeah.
And
Bill, right beside you in the little square on my screen is David McCauley, who is an expert in eco-housing and co-housing and, all of those things. And he's been working with SSAO for quite a while now in putting together policy documents and everything like around small homes in the community, that sort of thing. So if you want to connect up with David, I'm assuming you're willing. You can nod. He's nodding.
I don't know if he's brushing me off there,
Okay.
but yeah, David, I don't know if you're connected with Toronto Home Energy Network because this is a big consideration as well now. A lot of people who are looking at doing the home renovations, they're between 40 and 70 or 75, I should say. I'm
Yeah.
71, so I want to be included in this. But the 40-year-olds are looking at this because of dealing with their parents.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a critical time. We've got every opportunity. The governments are supporting us because they've got this crisis in the long-term care and the assisted living programs in institutions. This is a right time.
Yeah, and if I can just add, just so that everybody knows, Ontario Health at Home, we are meeting with them in early April to talk about funding service coordinators to bring in resources and community connections into horizontal and vertical NORCs.
Yeah.
So that meeting is happening on the 2nd of April, I believe, and we have a provincial NORC policy and implementation panel that's going to be meeting with their top people to talk about that they need to start funding that. So we're trying to encourage that development as much as possible. Dr. Howard Abrams, who is with the Nork Innovation Center, is on our policy panel. So he's
Fantastic.
going with us as we meet with them. So that's happening. The other thing is there's a point you mentioned that's really important, and that is the Ministry of Long-Term Care is in trouble. They cannot build their way out of the long-term care crisis, which is what we told them 6 years ago. And we told them people don't want to go into institutions. And furthermore, you can't staff them because people don't want to work there either. So what we're doing is on the 31st of March, our provincial policy group is meeting with the Ministry of Long-Term Care to tell them what the alternatives are that they need to be funding. And if Marion is still here, we're going to use Halton as one of the models for assisted housing with PACE wellness hubs built in.
Yes.
Small homes, which John Lord led the charge on that, and David was on the committee. So we're going in with a lot of research and a lot of information. And we're going to start demanding that they start funding that instead of funding long-term care homes where nobody wants to go. And PACE, the nice thing about PACE is that you can scale it up depending on the needs of the residents. And Paul Sharman in Burlington has already succeeded in doing that, so that as people's needs increase, the support through PACE increases at the same time, so that you don't ever have to leave your apartment. You should never have to leave it. We're also going to talk to them about community hospice services. And Andrew McNamara is here. Andrew is going to talk about behavioral supports provided in residential small homes in the community, and also how you provide behavioral support to assist caregivers and to assist people to be able to remain in the community. Andrew, we're lucky to have him. He's a behavioral science specialist, so he's on our committee as well, and he's going to be going with us and giving the Ministry of Long-Term Care an earful. So there's a lot going on right now, basically. So
there is.
Pat, I'm sure you might want to add some things to all of that, but
I'm just clapping. I'm a cheerleader here for all of it. It's
yeah.
just it just gives us all so much more hope if we can like you mentioned, I'm fiercely independent and everybody tells me so to my detriment sometimes. But
well, it's a good thing.
yeah,
And I mean, we're letting them know, look, boomers aren't dead yet, and we don't plan to die for a while yet. So you better deal with us
yeah.
because we're a very large group, and we vote. Okay, Bonnie Rowe, Gila, and then did I see Nicole? Did you want to say something as well, Nicole? We don't want to leave Sudbury out.
No.
Okay,
Come
all right.
here.
I thought you might have been waving at me. Okay,
Yeah.
so Bonnie
So-
Rowe and then Gila.
Yeah, I'm from Halliburton and we're with a not-profit group called Aging Together's Community. John Lord has spoke at one of our conferences, but I have a couple questions. We've had Ontario Ontario Health at Home come several times to some our meetings. We have a lot of information meetings. Seniors here are starving to learn about what supports are in the community because we have so little. But what I find with Ontario Health at Home is most of what they're offering is online, and I'm not, and a lot of our seniors are not engaging online, or they don't have internet for various reasons. But you mentioned about they were able to offer supports around caregiving. Like I haven't found that up in our Kawartha Haliburton area.
Here's the thing, Pat. Pat, if I can jump in, I'm just going to try and answer that one. We've been
Yeah.
dealing with Ontario, SSAO has been dealing with
Yeah.
Ontario Health at Home a lot. Here's what we found. People who are trying to deal with the coordinators at the front line are not getting the correct information.
I know.
Okay. So what we're doing is we're dealing with the people at the top. And when there are issues that people are finding that they're not able to get the home care that they need, because we are now in Ontario in a needs-based home care system. And most people don't know it. They think there's a cap on home care. They think that there's all kinds of things home care can't do. That's not true anymore. So what we've been doing is helping people write an email to the senior people at Ontario Health at Home, and we're asking them to intervene, and they've been doing it. They've been doing it sometimes within 15 minutes, sometimes within 24 hours, and sometimes at 7 o'clock in the morning. So it's
Providing caregivers, like actually.
essentially they've been meeting with the caregivers, and they've been coming together and problem solving what can be done right away. And it's been incredible, the response from the senior team. Okay, so
Okay.
yes, there are problems at the front line, but what we've been saying to people is write an email, and we'll help you write it to the senior people and copy Seniors for Social Action up front. And what we found is that they respond immediately. So far, so good. We've had incredible response from them. Okay,
Okay.
so if there's something you need, just email seniorsactionontario@gmail.com on our website, and let us know what the issue is, and we'll help you put an email together that will get their attention.
Yeah, I find that people don't even know about it. That's the hard part.
Well, they don't, and that's why I was saying to Pat and to Bill, I mean, they should be providing homemaking services. Ray knows this. He's been in the business for a very long time. Community agencies, they should be referring to community agencies, nonprofits. So any services they don't provide, some of the nonprofits may be providing them. And the coordinators should be pulling those resources together for individuals and providing wraparound care. And that's what the senior management is wanting. That's what they're looking for. And they're wanting as well to get in there and staff NORCs. So we're going to talk to them about exactly how to do that. And we're taking the NORC leaders in with us to speak to them directly. So,
No, that's great. No, I follow all of your information that you send out. It's amazing.
yeah. So by all means, right. If there's something people in your area need that they're not getting, we generally get a response pretty quickly.
Thank you.
Okay, Gilla, you've got your hand up.
Yeah. I receive daily help with the PSWs, and it's the PSWs who are giving me information about what isn't available, and that's only in the last week. I didn't know about that I had a caseworker even.
Yeah, they've gotten the memo, Gilla. We've been saying to them, look, you've got to start getting your front line out, talking to people and letting them know what is available.
Yeah, it really needs a lot of what information has to go out there. About 4 years ago, because of something that happened here in the community where a person passed away, and it was 4 months before we found out that she had passed in her own home alone. And so I started something called Know Your Neighbor. And going door to door, like the very first year, we had maybe 50 people from the community come by. But I have had my own issues, like falling down and
Yeah.
health stuff. It's got a lot of used parts. well used. And and then the thing is, though, I think everybody needs a checkmate, and that's another program that needs to be pushed, where everybody has somebody who they're in contact with daily to say, hello, are you still breathing? Oh, you are.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And hello, I'm at Loblaws, and do you need
Yeah.
anything? I'll pick it up for you.
See, and Pat's group, actually, this is the thing about not living alone, that I think Pat's group is addressing. But a lot of local community agencies address this as well through friendly visiting and home phone checks. So again, people don't know about it, but we're going to start writing more about those kinds of things so that people hear about it.
I'm talking about people in your community, your next door neighbor, your
Yes.
neighbor across the street, everybody having at least one person who is your checkmate. You are their checkmate, they are yours. Like
Yes.
that
Well,
kind
that's
of.
what Norks do.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm going to go to the chat because it looks like there's a bunch of things. I'm just going to get some that are pertinent to what we're talking about today. The person who wants to know more about NORCs, everything is on our website. Look under the policy and research tab on our website, and you'll see a NORC library there. You can look at everything you like about it. People have been approved, says Roy, 7 days a week, however, 0 people available. No, that's what the agencies are telling you. Don't buy that one. Write to us at SSAO and we'll get the senior people at Ontario Health at Home on that. Here's what happens, folks. The agencies who want to make a lot of money don't keep their appointments and they still get paid. So you need to let Ontario Health at Home know that they're not keeping their appointment and they're still getting paid. And then all of a sudden, it's amazing how magically they have people to start providing care. So, Rose, thank you. Okay. PSW, huge issue. Actually, it's getting better in the rural area. So, again, just write to us if you're from a rural area. And let's see what else we have. Andrew, you have a comment on lack of qualified care providers, a major problem, and cutbacks in the colleges and universities are not helping. All of that is true, but they are recruiting people. So um, we just want to let people know that it's not as big a problem as people may think. And then Jennifer, you have your hand up, so go ahead. Okay, I'm just
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Two points. My initial reason for wanting to comment is on the checkmate system. That works well in theory. However, I have a senior at home who is not aggressive, who is sweet, who is gentle, but very feisty and very determined to believe that she's as independent as she was 4 years ago. So when her friends were calling her, unbeknownst to me because I was at work all day, she was telling them, oh, I can't talk right now. I'm very, very busy. I will have to call you back, and then not calling them back. So when I finally confronted them and said, you're not calling, you're not coming over, you've abandoned her, they said, what do you mean? We've been calling and calling and calling, and your mother pushes us away. So very important to have
Okay,
a
and
conversation with the senior.
I'm just going to intervene here, Jennifer, because we are getting off topic.
Yeah.
But I just,
Just on your checkmate point was
yes,
all.
yes, no,
Yeah.
I understand.
And then the other, oh, yes, consistency of care. And that's one of the reasons this home sharing idea is a very, very good idea because home care is not consistent. And in Quebec, as you probably do in Ontario and throughout the country, we have the issue where the agencies have been banned. But what happens is Mary shows up one day, Sarah shows up another day,
Yeah,
Antoine shows up another day.
that's exactly the same thing here in Ontario, but
Yeah.
It's the people at the top who are responsible around that. And this is why in Ontario, because our group has formed, we put a lot of heat on Ontario Health at Home and Ontario Health to provide much more consistent care, which is why they're looking at integrated care. So your people at the top in Quebec need to talk to our people at the top in Ontario. So they need to contact Anna Greenberg, who is the CEO of Ontario Health at Home.
Well, first they would have to get their heads together and stop focusing on irrelevant issues, but we won't go there because that's not the topic today.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions people have for Pat before we wind everything up here today? Because we've had a very good discussion. I know we got off topic a little bit, but I think it was in a good way. So, Pat, is there anything else you wanted to say just as we're winding up? No?
No.
Okay.
I'm
All right. Then I want
surprisingly enough, I have nothing to say. That's unusual.
that almost never happens. Well, I just want to thank you because providing this information to our folks has been tremendous. And we had you, I think, over a year ago, and I'm very glad that you came back to update us on things. And we really wish you and your organization every success. And if you are able, consider donating because you know Pat and her team are doing a great job. And we know what it's like to you know have to manage without money, but thank goodness we have wonderful volunteers, you know, who and you do too, Pat, who are doing an awful lot for no money at all. And I don't know how people find it, but we've been finding that we're doing a better job than a lot of the professionals, and we're volunteers. So maybe it's the age and experience and wisdom that we have. At any rate, you have that in abundance, Pat, and we thank you so much for doing this today.
Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, everybody. So that winds up our session. And, you know, we're organizing our next ones for sometime probably at the end of April because we're skipping March for March break. So thanks everybody for coming today and have a good rest of the day. The sun is shining, so get out there. Okay. Take care.